Hi everyone, it's Crafty Tina's. We're still Christmas in July. Today's video is part 2, and the reason it is part 2 because in part 1 I show you how to use your stack cutter to cut your notebooks. These are the 8-sided octagon notebooks, and we're going to bind them using both the mini and the full-size cinch. Now in my last video I showed you how to cut all the 4 sides off of a 5-inch square stack. This is 30 pages of 20-pound paper and 2 pieces of 30-point chipboard. So we made this cute little notebook. Now we're going to cover it, and then I'm going to show you how to line it up and punch it using either your mini cinch or your full-size cinch. For this video, you're only going to need a few supplies. You're going to need your notebook stack, which we cut already, chipboard and paper. You're going to need 2 pieces of 6-inch paper, cardstock, whatever you're going to use to cover your 8-sided shape. I chose scrapbook paper for these. Isn't these little penguins adorable? So these little guys came from let there be light. These little guys came from a scrapbook pad of 12-inch by 12-inch paper. I just simply left enough room at the bottom where it wouldn't cut off all the little penguins and cut it 6 by 6. And this is for the outside of your notebooks. For the inside of your notebooks, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 1/4 inch smaller than the notebook itself. The notebook itself is 5 inches across and 5 inches up and down. So this is 4 3/4. It's going to be cut to shape, leaving you that extra little border like I like to do to put the insides in your notebook. Now I have a regular one that is not Christmas themed, and that's the little bees here because the shape really reminds me of a honeycomb, such as this one. And then we're going to do the Christmas one, and we're going to do the Christmas one on the mini. And we're going to do the regular one on the cinch, just like I did the already finished ones. Now something else we're going to use in this video that isn't necessary but is wonderful to have. This is called Perfect Layers, and it comes in a set. They're on Amazon, and I will definitely put the link because I see a lot of use on these coming up really soon. These were actually a gift from my sister-in-law tons of years ago, and I've picked them up randomly and used them for cards. And that's basically, they're made for layering paper and cardstock so that you get the exact border that you're looking for. This was super helpful when making these notebooks. So I'm going to show you, they're not necessary, but I am going to show you how much easier it makes it to do this notebook. So we're going to keep the one that has the 1/2 inch mark on it. Don't know if you guys can see that. So there's 4 sizes to each one of these rulers. So except for this one, there's only 2. So there's 4, 8, 10 different sizes to get your layers perfectly aligned. So we're going to hang on to the 1/2 inch one, and I'm going to put the others to the side. They will be linked in the description so you can see them. So guys, let's get started. This is the one we're using for the regular, and we're doing the Christmas one with the mini. But the first thing we need to do is we need to make our notebooks. We need to cover them. So in order to cover them, we have to have the outside cover, the inside cover, and our notebook. Now, even though I showed you how to make all of these even, there still could be a minute little error in any of this. So once I punched it, I kept it together, and I even put a little arrow on both of them to keep my chipboard right side up. Sorry about the coughing. Just to make sure I keep it the same way I cut it so that each of my little 8 sides are flush. So let's put this cover on this chipboard. In order to do that, we're going to grab Squeaky. We're going to pick this up, and I'm going to keep this upright at all times. That will ensure that my photo is upright the way I want it, and that I'm keeping this book the exact same stack. So now I need squeaky here is going to put my adhesive on all sides. So instead of 4 sides, all 8 sides. I'm also going to put me an X in the center because I don't want the center, let's just put one more. I don't want the center to come unstuck and sound weird. So before I did that, I meant to show you something else. So we're going to put this to the side, and I'm going to take this one out to show you what I intended. You're going to lay this piece of chipboard on your paper. You need a 1/2 inch on all 4 of the flat sides. Not the ones with the corners yet, just the ones with the flat side. And that's where this little guy came in. See this 1/2 inch right here? That means there's a raised ledge. I don't know if you can see it. This is 1/2 inch. And if I put this down and slide it next to my chipboard, it stops and it gives me a perfect 1/2 inch. So I'm going to move my chipboard over to get the ruler to the edge. And now I know I have a perfect 1/2 inch here, and I want to do the same thing on top. Oh, I did pretty good. Just straightening it up a little. And then go back to make sure that I didn't move it anymore over here. Now I have a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here perfectly. I'm going to simply make a mark on the corner and one of the straightaways. And I meant to do that before I put the adhesive on there. Now I can take the one with the adhesive, and when I go to put it on the cardstock, I'm not trying to eyeball it before I press it down. I simply go to my mark and then press it down. Now I have a 1/2 inch, give me a little room, on all 4 sides. See how great that is for lining up, and especially when you're using chipboard, it lines up really good. Now I want to make a 1/2 inch on all of my corners. And normally we would take our scissors and we would eyeball it and cut it. But because we have this handy little tool, this is the 1/2 inch here, we're going to use this and just use a rotary cutter. And look, all we're doing is pulling it snug, and it just butts up against the chipboard. And we can do all of our sides super quick and easy. Look at that, guys. Now my entire border is 1/2 inch all the way around. This is actually easier to do than doing the square and cutting the corners and making sure the miters fit without a gap or overlapping, because there is no overlapping on this. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut from point to point, just making a snip, point to point. It helps if you hold your scissors upright into the air and then hold the point straight down at the ground. If you have trouble cutting straight like I do, you find these little hacks. And now, super easy, every corner gets snipped all the way down to the cardstock. Now, every little angle folds in. It doesn't come off the edge of the chipboard. It stays in there perfectly fine. And when I fold the next one, look at that. It folds without any problem. So let's go and do the rest of these. We're simply going to stick them all down. You don't have to use double-sided tape. You can use glue or Mod Podge or double-sided adhesive sheets. Anything you want that's going to hold it to the chipboard. And because chipboard is paper, most glues will work. You don't want a thick glue or the glue to be too wet, because you don't want it to make your paper all saturated and look wet. Because remember, I'm using paper, not cardstock. If you want your covers to be thicker, use cardstock. If it doesn't matter, because these are just cute little notebooks, then use chipboard, or then use paper. Isn't he cute? So now we need to do the other one. So we're going to turn it over, make sure if it's the pattern where it can only be one way, like this, not something that can be any direction. Make sure that you put it face up. So then I'm going to take my notebook. Got my little arrow facing up. I'm going to, again, measure my 1/2 inch with my little perfect layers. I think that's a great name because it does make perfect layers. I'm too high up to use my ruler. There we go. And then we're going to push this up, and you can see that my chipboard, and the fact that they're clear, you can see through it too. Super easy to make sure that you are aligned. Got the back end off a little. And there we go. Now I'm going to make my mark at one of the corner ones, and then I'm going to make the mark at the straight one. And that gives me something to put it directly into. So now I'm going to add my adhesive again, just like I did on the first one. Squeaky is squeaking good for us today. So I'm going to do 3 little cross marks. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put it right in my marking. And now you can see that I have my 1/2 inch. Really like this. Now we can do our corners, making sure we're using the 1/2 inch, because remember there's one on this side on the bottom, one on this side on the bottom. There's one on this side on the top and this side. So you want to make sure you're looking at the 1/2. It's written properly. It's not fitted. It's not flipped, rather. This is the 1/16 on this side on the bottom, and this is the 1/2 on this side on the bottom. So we're now going to do the corners. Now you don't have to use a rotary cutter. You could mark this and just cut it with scissors, but this is a cutting mat, so we might as well use it. I was trying to keep it nice and pretty, but it's got ink marks and glitter and all kinds of good stuff. We're only going to chop off those corners. And now I have my perfect 8 shape cover. We're going to take our scissors again, and we're going to snip it. These notebooks actually go pretty fast, surprisingly. They are super easy to line up on both machines as far as binding. I think I spend more time looking for what pattern paper I'm going to use than I actually spend making the book. So if you already know what paper you're going to use, then you are already halfway there. Once I have adhesive on all 8 sides, I'm going to fold the paper in. And now we have our front and back. So let's start with the front. Now I'm going to show you a trick on how to cut this to be slightly smaller than this, because remember, we cut this on purpose smaller so we would have this gap. But now we need that gap on all 4 corners. So I was trying to figure out how to measure it, and I was really overthinking it. So I found something instead. If you take your shape that you've already have covered and you line up the straight edges to the straight edges and mark it, that is the perfect corner to cut off. Now you notice you can't mark all of them. You can only mark one at a time because you have to line it up again. And I use the same corner, just in case the corners are off slightly. I use the same corner and I mark it. And you can use a pencil if you like. You don't have to take the chance of marking up your notebook. And you're lining up the flat edges for your corners. And now we're going to take a pair of scissors and we're going to cut those corners off. You can lay a ruler down and use your rotary cutter since you already have it out. But when I do the ruler thing, I overthink it and it takes me twice as long. Remember, your pen marks are on the back of your paper, so you'll be fine not having them show on the front. So now, if we did it properly, we have an exact gap all the way around by doing that method. So now let's put this on the inside. And again, we're going to go and put it on all sides. This is not as awkward as it seems, guys. I'm reaching around the camera, so sometimes, so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm at a weird angle. They are super easy. They're not difficult. This doesn't have a right or wrong way. I can have my little mittens going sideways. I want them to go up and down. There's no top and bottom because they're upside down and right side up. So I want to make sure this is my up and down, so I'm going to lay it down in the up and down motion, and I'm going to put this one right in the center. And I want to make sure it sticks really good in the beginning, because when it gets warmer or it sits longer is when it really gets sticky. So I want to make sure that I don't have any little air pockets or bubbles in there to sound really weird. So isn't he cute? So this is the top. I'm going to put it back on top so that I know that's where it come from. Now let's make the bottom in the same manner. We're going to cut our little sides. I don't trust myself to cut it up against here. I will cut some of this off. So if you guys are comfortable with a rotary cutter, you can avoid having to make the marks and then cut it. You can just simply use your rotary cutter to cut that. I don't trust myself to do it. I know how dangerous I am when it comes to that thing. I love it, but I'm really not that great with it. So you're going to go around to all 4 of your corners. And remember, you're making sure that the flat parts line up, and you're simply cutting your corners this big. We're going to grab our scissors again and cut, cut, cut. Cut, cut, cut. I was always taught, and I don't know if this is right, I can't cut straight with scissors, but watching several people, they always said to hold your scissors in an upright angle and bring the paper to the scissors, and that will help you cut straighter. That actually does work. So if you're having trouble cutting straight, hold your scissors pointing to the ceiling and bring your paper to your scissors and see if that helps you cut straight. It helps me, and I don't know if it's because you have better control over the scissors than if you're trying to cut straight. I shake, so holding them straight up, the weight of the scissors is distributed better, and I actually cut straighter. So hopefully that would help somebody else. I heard that a very, very long time ago. It actually has helped. I'm going to put this right side up. I'm just going to flip it so that this is the top. I'm going to add my adhesive. The good thing about the tape dispenser is you can make turns with it. That's something with those little bitty tape dispensers that looks like whiteout cartridges. I was never able to get them to turn straight, and they don't hold much adhesive, so I was going through them like crazy making cards. So now I have all my adhesive. I've got glitter everywhere, so if you guys see a sparkle, it's not the paper, it's because I used glitter to do the bottom of this little thing. Right side up, I want my mittens up and down. And I'm going to place this right here. So speaking of glitter, I think I will go back with my white glitter gel pen and put the 2 little circles inside every button. It would give it just enough shimmer to make that really stand out. There's just little things you can do along the way that really will help this. I'm actually going to go back and add some of these snowflakes, if you guys can see those. Those snowflakes are glitter cardstock, the 3 little stars and the 3 snowflakes, it is this little die. And guys, this is probably one of the first dies I made. So it is super old, probably 20, 25 years. It was a Cuttlebug die, and it has just been crazy used. But every time I go to get a snowflake, this is my go-to, even over punches and things that I've bought over the years. I always go back to this little guy because it is perfect. I'm going to go and add snowflakes to this, and I'm going to add the little stars inside the circles because I really think that needs to be dressed up. Then I can take my glitter gel pens and the red one, I can add the little stripes in here, do the bow, and do his candy cane. And then I add just enough sparkle to make this stand out like this one does. Because even this snowflake I put on a foam dot. And then I put glue down here on the white and glittered it. Sometimes you guys can't see that in the camera, but this thing is super sparkly. So now I have the back. Sorry, I get sidetracked a lot. Now I can put the back onto my book, making sure that my book is front and back correctly. So we're going to set this right here, and we are going to make this one. Now this one is not using paper, this one is using cardstock. It's a thicker paper. It will make the notebook itself thicker. For this notebook, I added a die cut. The little bee and the flower is a die cut set. Again, from Amazon, because my craft stores here are horrible. This is the set that I used, and it's really cute. It has several flowers and a bunch of little insects. We're using the bee and the flower, this flower. And you get the stamps and the dies. It even has this little circle thing. So really good deal. And again, I will put that on Amazon on my description as well. So I used the little pop-up dots for the flowers, and I used the little spring for the bee, because guys, he's just too cute when you do that. So let's do this one now that it is in cardstock. And again, I put arrows up, up. First thing I'm going to do is put my chipboard down so I can make my mark. Now remember, you want it as close as you can get it so that when you do your corners, the corners get cut properly. Otherwise, we would just wing it, guys, and put it down. But because you're trying to get these corners right, you want to get the rest of it correct to make it easier. We're going to put our adhesive on all sides. We're going to go through this one a little faster since we already did one, but I will continue explaining. Now we're going to cut our corners with a 1/2 inch. We are going to cut our corners, not mark them. See how much time this saves than marking them and then going back and cutting them. But it is optional. You don't have to do this. If you have these supplies in your craft room, though, why not use them? We're going to cut our corner to point to point. You don't want to cut it like this or this. You want to cut it point to point. Once you cut all of them, then you can add your adhesive to each of them. Now I'm adding it to each of them instead of putting it on the chipboard because these overlap each other and I want them to stick down to each other. Otherwise, I would just put it here, but then I won't get any adhesive on the overlap part. See, this one overlaps. And this one overlaps this one. Now, even though you've got another piece of paper on top of here, so it's not like it's going to come off, you don't want it puffing up or not sticking well and it sound like something's loose. Just want to give them all a nice good press. Now we're going to take our pretty little bee paper. Now this paper is also, oh, this one's actually not from Amazon. This one's from Hobby Lobby, and only get it when it's on sale. Don't pay $7 for this, guys. They put it 40% off and 50% off all the time. It has some really pretty bee prints in here. This book and this book both came out of this stack. The Christmas ones came out of a Christmas paper stack. We're going to flip this over and line it up straight and straight. So, guys, I'm going to try this. I'm kind of afraid to press down, but there we go. Going to try it. See if we end up having a mess or not. You're lining up your flat edges so that you can cut your corner off. And that cuts off just the right amount of angle to fit this to the back, leaving that little extra thing. So I didn't cut any of them, so I think we're good. Now we're going to put the bees. The bees have no pattern, they're random. The flowers, oh, I forgot to actually put adhesive on one. I was wondering why he was sticking up. Oh, the adhesive was way too far in. So now we're going to put adhesive on him and fold him in. I meant to show my arrow. Now I don't know what's up and down, but it doesn't matter. I just was hoping to get it to fit perfectly in the notebook, because they are all going to be just slightly, okay, it goes exactly like that. So we're going to leave it like that. We're going to flip it over. It's not going to matter because I'm about to put this on it. So let's put the adhesive on our 8 sides. I want to make sure I got all the edges. This one over here didn't get quite to the edge. When it comes to this inner piece, the edges are the best to make sure they go all the way to the edge, because you don't want it to be able to curl up. We're going to keep this straight. And again, random pattern. I don't have a top and a bottom. And press it down. Press him down really good. And this was our top, so we're going to put it back on top. So now we're going to do the next. We're going to take our bottom, keeping it always on top. We're going to use this for our little 1/2 inch. Just going to do the bottom since need to shape him a little. Right there. Go back and check the 1/2 inch. And the top is over too much. So right there. Here, this little dude is not wanting to cooperate at all today. There we go. It's like you will get in the right spot. I'm going to make my line at the corner and at the side. I'm going to flip it over. Putting adhesive all the way around. Putting my arrow at the top. I'm going to put this little guy in here. Now I'm going to cut off my corners. I'm going to leave this facing where I want it, where it's supposed to be. And instead of moving it, I'm just going to move myself around. Go all the way around, cut off all 4 corners. I'm going to put a little arrow there. holding my scissors to the sky. I'm going to cut point to point. This one is off a little. So when I did cut this out, you guys are not going to be able to get it exact. You're going to get it so close you are not going to be able to tell the difference. But if you'll watch the video before this one, it shows you how to cut this out. It shows you how to get the angles correct. And there's going to be more videos like this where I'm going to show you how to cut it out on one video, and then I'm going to show you how to make it on another. Because if you already know how to cut it out, you shouldn't have to watch the whole video. And if you already know how to make it, but you want to know how to cut it out, then you can just watch the cutout video. I don't like to make the videos too long because I have no attention span for long videos. And I know this one's getting a little long, but it's because we're doing 2 notebooks and I should have had them kind of ready. Oops, we have to do our inside now. There's a piece of adhesive on here. So let's flip this over. Again, we don't have any right sides or pattern paper that's going in one direction. And let's just, we did good. Let's keep going. So we're lining up the straight and you're cutting off the corner. And again, I'm using the same corner for every cut. I don't know if that matters, but I like to stay consistent. Okay, so now we have, I'm going to put this back upright. We're going to take our little B paper and we're going to run the adhesive around. I've seen the cutting mats that are on like a turntable kind of thing. I thought that would be neat, but then guys, I would sit there and spin it too hard and it would go flying. I just don't know if that would work. So let me know in the comments if you have one of those cutting mats that spin. I'd like to know what people think of them. For doing paper cutting, not quilting, I'd really like to try one. So we're going to press it down really well, and remember this is upright, so we're just going to set this right on top. Now we're ready to bind, guys. I can show you how I worked out the measurements for binding both books. Let's clear some space and let's start with my favorite, the regular cinch. The reason it's my favorite is because it has so much more versatility to this. Now, one thing you're going to need is you're going to need 4 wires. Yes, my wires are a hot mess. I am going to work on a way to organize them, but this is what they look like. I have them in drawers with the size label on them. So we're going to go with yellow, but you guys see how the pretty colors that are in here? I just love it. And I think I want to go with purple for this. Because of the little penguins being purple, I really think they would be cute. And we need 4 for this guy, and we need 4 for this guy. Anything over 1 loop you keep because we can make small notebooks. If it is only 1, you can throw it away. Don't throw away your 2s because we are going to have a scrap buster video where you're using nothing but your scraps. So let's put this over here. Now here are the directions for the regular cinch. It doesn't matter if it's circle or square. You can choose 4 wires or 3. Both will work for this notebook. And I have the sizes and how to put your slider for both. I'm going to add that to our Crafty Tina's cinch log. For those of you that does not know what that is, we have a spreadsheet that shows us how to punch our holes correctly to get the right amount of space on both sides. So for this video, we're going to do the 4. So our slider goes to 1 1/4. This is our slider. We're going to put it to 1 1/4. we're going to pull 1 and 2 and 7 through 12. We're going to push in 3, 4, 5, and 6. Keeping them upright so that my little shape stays the same. I'm going to remove the cover. I'm going to put the cover down. This is my top. I'm going to put the cover down. I'm going to put it up against the slider all the way to the back of the machine. I'm going to make sure that it's exactly the same. The bottom piece hits the slider in the back and the top piece hits the slider in the back. These are my 4 holes, and I'm going to punch. And now I have 4 perfectly aligned holes. Now I want to do the paper. Punching the top of the paper, the same as the book was. I'm going to do the same thing. Now this is 30 sheets of 20-pound paper, and it will punch in the original cinch in one shot. So because this is adjustable and this is a heavier duty machine over the Mini, my notebook is done in 2 punches, and you're going to see in a minute it's going to take multiple punches for the Mini, but it still can do it. Now I have perfect holes ready to be cinched. We're going to flip this around. We're using 9/16 wires, which is 1 click above half. Make sure that the size notebook you use will fit in your wires, and I have this little guide. You can make this. It's on my YouTube channel. The 9/16. This size, the 7/16, would just barely fit, and I don't want it just to barely fit because I want to put a post-it note inside. So I'm going with the 9/16. Also, this requires a 5/8. I don't have 5/8. I do have 9/16, and I've been using those wires with the Mini. So the 9/16 does work with the Mini. Because it's such a small one, I'm not going to hang it on the side. Very important. Make sure you take your back cover and lay it on top of your front cover. Patterns matching. This is so the seam of the wire is inside the back cover. Now I can put my wires in. I'm going to put these flush against the back wall and hold them there, putting a slight force on my book. Just enough to hold them to the back, not enough to make a difference. And guys, that really, I didn't look down to make sure I had them properly, and it looks like I did not. Look at this mess. This is not gonna work. Especially when it's a small piece of wire, guys. If I don't cinch it properly, I throw it away and start over. Because I did pretty good opening that up, but it's bent all over the place. It's not worth it. I'm going to get my little bin down. I'm going to get me 4 more wires, and we're going to do this again. The number one reason that happens is you did not have it in the machine all the way to the back. I'm going to take this guide out so I can show you. This is just a guide my husband 3D printed. The universal cinch is coming with this guide, so I've been seeing if that guide works well for me. For the larger, longer ones, it does. So guys, this has to be flush, and I'm going to bend down this time and make sure that it is flush. And now I have little circles. Look how cute that is. I can't wait to put some bees and some stuff on it. So, some adhesive on here. That is the cutest little thing. Now, it could be decorated just like you see here in the picture. Or you can stamp on colored cardstock if you are afraid it's going to blend in too much. I wanted that one to blend. So you can put it on using colored cardstock. You don't have to use colored cardstock. You can use... I'm looking all over for my stuff and it's sitting here. You could stamp it in black and color the flowers yourself. See how cute that is? You can stamp it. I did navy. Stamp it on colored cardstock. But I think that's the way mine's going to go. but it is adorable. Let's cut it out on the mini. Now the mini is limited, so the mini has a flaw when cutting out this size shape. I wouldn't say it's a flaw. I took advantage of the flaw. It cuts out the 1st and the 6th. It cuts into here. So it leaves this notch. I chose to use that notch as a ribbon holder. I simply ran the ribbon through the book behind the wire and used that notch that it cuts out as my ribbon holder. Had I used a fluffier ribbon, you would not have seen that notch, and it's not going to affect anything. I'm not quite centered. Another thing the mini does is it doesn't have, why aren't these scissors cutting? I can't find my orange ones. There we go. Didn't want that to show. The other thing this one doesn't have is the slider to hold the papers up against. But it still works, guys, and a mini cinch is better than no cinch. If you want to start with a mini and you don't think you'll be making large, thick notebooks, then go ahead and go for the mini. So now we need to punch this. We cannot punch 2 covers at the same time. This is just not able to handle it. So we're going to punch everything face up and then flip it here so that we keep everything in the same order. This is 5 inches across the flat to flat, so we're going to line it up at the 5 and the 5. There's no slider, guys. There's no way to butt this against anything, so we have to hope we can hold it in between these 2 lines properly and exact for the whole stack. So we're going to put it in this 5. Now remember, the more centered you are between these 2 5s, and once you put this in here, you can't see them, the better our little notches are going to be. Because it's going to punch 6 holes whether you want it to or not. It does not have the pegs. So you're going to line this up between the 5 and the 5. Okay, guys? So now it's lined up and we punch. Hold this down and punch it again. Because this is multiple layers, it comes out cleaner. Now you can see that we punched holes on both sides. And that's fine, because that is going to be my ribbon notch. I'm going to continue to punch this one out, and I'm going to cut this one straight down to get the shape. This one, as you can tell, I held it between the 5 and the 5, and it is slightly off. But we are not going to be concerned with that. We're going to leave it just like that, and that's where our ribbon is going to go. So put this face down. This is 30 pages, and this machine's limit is 15. You never want to go all the way to the limit. So I am going to separate this instead of into 2, I'm going to separate it into 3 little stacks. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put our paper in here, and we're going to take it to the 5. And because you can't see the 5 once this goes on, punch. It does pretty good with just the paper. I normally just double punch this. Remember though, don't move this when you double punch. And now we have the same thing we had before. And we're gonna snip and snip and snip and snip. The more I play with this, guys, the more I'll be able to give you better choices on how to punch these things, and maybe even do some resizing to get it not to have the little flaws. We can call them happy little accidents because we needed a ribbon on there anyway. What's Christmas without a glittery ribbon? I'm gonna snip and snip. Same thing over here. I'm just going to take off those little points because those little points are going to look ratty over time. And this is what I was talking about, how it doesn't cut clean all the time. It's not enough to be a big deal, but I don't ever have this problem with this machine. We're going to cut one more stack. Again, we're going to put it in between the 5. punch. We're going to punch again to see if we can keep it a little cleaner. That did a little better. You still got a little fuzzies. We're going to clip it again. And we're just going straight into the box. And this will work even if you have the circle. You still cut the little edges off. And now for the cover, I'm making sure that this is the top. This is upright according to our book, so I'm going to keep it that way. And this is our cover, so I'm going to make sure it's nice and clean, and it did a little better. It's got a few fuzzies. We're going to cut and cut. These are just cute little notebooks. They're not journals or anything that's going to be kept for a long time. If they are, you're going to want to take a little bit of glue or Mod Podge and coat where you see the paper and chipboard is now exposed. So in these little grooves here, because they're on the outside edge, not on the inside, I would coat them with a little bit of glue or Mod Podge just to keep the paper from separating. And now we have our cute little book. Now, even though it has these notches cut out, we are covering it with a ribbon, so there's no problem there. Now let's cinch it. Find my purple little wires. I have to admit, this thing is curved where this one's flat, so when I'm cinching this, it kind of freaks me out. That kind of encloses it. However, I think because it comes out here and encloses it, you stand less of a chance of making an error as long as you put them in the beginning correctly. And that is, they have to sit flush to that back wall. And that's why this one only accepts certain size. The 5/8 is the recommended, but this 9/16 is so close to a 5/8 that it's okay. But see how it sits in there? It's kind of cradled. The bottom and the top are circles. So as long as you put it all the way in, this one does an outstanding job closing if you follow Tina's directions and don't get ahead of yourself. Anybody notice what we just did? We have a seam on the outside. The reason we have that is because we did not take our book and take the back cover and put it on top. We're going to try to do this one again. I would normally throw this away, but this machine has these curved bends. So let's see if it will put this in properly. I've put it all the way to the back. Wow, guys, it re-cinched it. And did a pretty good job too. They're round. And now we have our Christmas book. I'm not going to decorate it. I'm going to leave that to your imagination. So add yourself some snowflakes, add a ribbon, add some flowers and a bumblebee, even bumblebees that pop around on springs. That's the little springs that you put underneath the bumblebee. I will put this in the description. I will put this stamp and die set in the description. And I will put this link in the description. If you see anything else here you're interested in that I did not tell you where it came from, please let me know and I will make sure I can get it for you. This is probably no longer available. This has probably been discontinued 10 years or more. Any snowflake will work, and I just simply cut glittered cardstock. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can now make an 8-sided notebook. One last thought is I did put a piece of cardstock across this one, measuring it 5 inches by 1 inch, I believe, or 1.5 inch. I only put double-sided adhesive on the side, so I made this cute little pocket. And now you can put Dollar Tree Post-it notes. I like them because they are a thinner pack, and you get 4 of these for 1 pack for $1.25. So there it is, guys. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new. Make sure you subscribe so you'll see the next video. Join my Facebook page. I'll leave that in the description so that you can get printouts and find other fun things. Thanks, guys, and as always, happy crafting.